All right, Lane 1 Talk Show, episode 15 here. Keeping them moving. How are we doing, Mark?
Doing pretty good, man. Just hit my off season, so enjoying a little bit of wine here on the pod. Loosen up a little bit.
Nice, a little bit of the vino. Awesome.
Yeah,
it's good to see you.
Brought by yours truly, man. Your host, Phil Reed. He rolled up to me with 11 bottles.
Yeah, that's right. I gave you some bottles. Yep.
Gave me like 11 bottles of wine. So
yes, there you go.
That should last me a pretty good amount of time. So I really appreciate you.
Yeah, you know that special wine. I won that wine because I won a race where I won my weight in wine, and they literally put you on a scale and put stacked boxes on it. So you were the recipient of one of those cases.
Yeah, I know, dude. It was it comes out to like 50 bottles, right, or something like ridiculous.
I mean, however many bottles I weigh.
Yeah. How are you doing, man?
Good. I just got literally between the last episode and now I was in New York and the East Coast with my family. Philadelphia, my grandma's 85th birthday, a lot of family time, a little bit of training, and just like relaxing.
Yeah.
How about you?
Like full time? Are you back training?
I am. I'm back training. Not as far along as I'd like to be. You know, I just old man syndrome, and just little things pop up here and there, and just kind of have to take a few days off. But like, I'm like, you know, if I'm not running, I'm in the gym for like 90 minutes doing like you're working out or on the treadmill or on the elliptical or riding my bike. Like, I'm doing something every day to be better. I'm just not like, you know, I wanted to be doing like a 9-mile midweek long run at this point or something like that, and it's just not quite there. But we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there soon.
Yeah, no, me and Silas always have this conversation. That's why he's stringing out his break right now, and I'm just starting mine. We always have a joke that I don't want to be a killer in October anymore. Like, I never want to be a killer again in October. Like, let's wait to get good in December and January.
Yeah.
So like stringing it out during this point of the season, and then start taking training seriously, like come Labor Day in September.
Yeah, and I'm actually excited for the fall because, you know, in addition to training, in addition to getting back consistent with cross country and everything, I also like, there's some training topics that I want to talk about and running things that we can discuss in the fall as well, because I think the fall is a great time to train and to plan for whatever it's a half marathon, cross country marathon. It's a really good time for runners. How about yourself?
Yeah, training went well for a few weeks. Ended up racing at Sound Running. I haven't been able to piece together a race day this season. Don't know what the reason is. It's pretty unorthodox for myself in terms of, normally I'm a consistent racer. Normally I perform like at least B+, A-, but I've been having a lot of pretty bad races this year. But it's all good. Progress isn't always linear, as we like to say. The training doesn't go anywhere. It's still in my body. I'm still training really well. I'm still hitting some of the best workouts of my life. Just haven't been able to get it together on race day. Not been able to get over some lingering ailments that kind of seem to make themselves apparent the longer the duration of the run. So like lately I've been having back issues and hamstring issues. So for me personally, it manifested more so on tempo runs or continuous types of runs. So when I'm doing longer track sessions or just intervals, I can stop and stretch in between and usually end up just fine. But I kind of started breaking up my tempos into mile reps so that I can stop and stretch in between, or like if I need to roll something out, I could. So I was having these killer workouts with those breaks in between, but just those longer races, things like a 10K, things like a 5K, or if I'm doing a tempo where I'm trying to run consistent for 20 to 30 minutes, those problems become more and more apparent.
Yep.
So for me, unfortunately, I was just trying to stuff it to the back of my head, because you're not guaranteed fitness ever in life. That's something that you're aware of. So I was trying desperately to kind of piece a race together just so I don't go another year without PBing in something, and just so I can use the fitness and justify all the hard work. But fortunately, I wish I had the opportunity to race more 1500s, because I never felt any issues during 15s. So I think in the shape I'm currently in, I think I can run a pretty good 15.
Yep.
But not too bummed out about it, honestly. I think I was just mentally ready for a break as well. So looking forward to just enjoying a few weeks off. Some cross training too. For me personally, I am an exercise addict. So I've been off for 4 days now. I've taken Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, day we're recording, but I haven't been able to stay away from exercising. So I've been trying to get better at swimming. So I've been just doing hard reps in the pool.
Nice.
And then a lot of mobility exercises, a lot of like more like fascia training type of exercises that I don't do because they're a little more gimmicky. So I don't want to do them during the season. I want to see how they feel in the off season so that when I do start training, anything that I do like, I can start incorporating. So just seeing what works for me, but I do need to get outside and exercise as part of just my mental. I cannot, for the sake of me, and no offense to anyone that is like this, but get off of work and do nothing. Like I get off, especially because I work Central Time. And you can probably relate to this because you're a teacher. You work basically Central Time hours. Like you're 7 to 3:30 most days.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 6:30 to 3:30. And for me, I have between like 3 and 10 that are just free if I'm not training. So I'm like, all right, I need to fill in that gap somehow.
Oh man, the life of a single man.
Yep.
Oh man, that time is very full for me. But yeah, I feel the very same way because I've talked about it. I got a bike, and like you, I want, I get off work or I'm done, at some point, and maybe, I'm not feeling great running, but I can get out there and go on the roads and like go for a nice easy, ride. And like the other day I did 20 miles, like 20-mile bike ride. It's like 15, 16 miles an hour. It's like you can go for forever on a bike.
Yeah, I don't know what miles per hour means on a bike. Like what's good or not. Is that like an easy run equivalent?
Yeah, it's like it's not that fast. It's not that. I mean, there's like in the tour they do like 30 miles an hour.
Okay, yeah, but they're racing. I'm
but yeah,
like, would you compare that to like going on an easy run? Like
yeah, I would like on my watch. It was like easy run. My BPMs were like in the 130s. It was like
nice.
So I was I didn't do. It's all recreational. It's all casual. Like for me, cycling is just like to get outside and to get some cardio in, right? And cycling is much more wind and hill dependent. In some instances, but like, yeah, I feel you on that. Getting out to run and exercise.
Did you ship your bike out to New York?
No, I didn't.
Okay. When you were saying you were getting out on your bike, I was like, wait, because you're gone for like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So
well, no, when I got back, I went for a bike ride like the other day.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
No, I did not ship it out there, but I did find a Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness in like rural New York.
Yeah, I had to drive like 25 minutes to get there each day, but yeah, there's a Planet Fitness. I was still getting in my training, getting in my lifting. But yes, in this episode, we're going to talk about the Olympics. The Olympics in the distance events, specifically the 800, the 1500, the 5K, and the 10K. And just with our schedules, we had to kind of limit the amount of events that we talk about because, I'm just getting back from vacation and I'm going somewhere else, and we want to get this content out as quickly as possible before the actual Olympics. So those are the 4 events we're going to talk about. In terms of the actual Olympics, one of the things that I've been thinking about is, being a track and field athlete my entire life, it's sort of what the Olympics means, right? And I'm putting it in terms that maybe people who are familiar with other sports, the NBA, MLB, things like that, on you putting it in terms of, other sports, the context, because the Olympics is once every 4 years. And for Americans or for anybody, only the top 3 in each event can go. So only the top 3 800-meter runners for men. For women can go and can attend. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, Mark. If you had to, please explain this in NBA terms. If this was a commenter on IG.
Yeah. So if I had to explain this in NBA terms, winning the Olympics would probably be the equivalent to winning winning the chip that makes your team a dynasty. So the Warriors winning the third time their third time in 4 years. The Lakers three-peating with Shaq and Kobe. The Bulls 96-97 or 97-98 run. And that comes with the idea that there's world championships in between, but no one really cares. Sponsors don't really care. A lot of the money, a lot of the accolades, everything talks about who wins the Olympics. That is the ultimate thing. That is the only time anyone really truly cares about athletics or truly cares about track and field is what have you done at the Olympics? Are you an Olympian? And it's such an honor for someone to receive that you get those tattooed on you, and it's a select group of athletes. And what makes an Olympic berth so special is the fact that, very similar to these dynasties that we've seen, like with the Bulls and the Lakers and the Warriors, is they're once in a generation thing. They're once in a lifetime experience. Like for maybe like our dads growing up, it was the Bulls, Showtime Lakers. For you and I growing up, it was the Lakers with Shaq and Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the
for the
generation
below me, it's the Warriors.
Right.
Like everyone once in their generation has like this crazy dynastic run. And that's kind of similar with the Olympics, because since it's every 4 years, every athlete that's at that level maybe has 1 or 2 chances at making a team, period. And you're not guaranteed, because you have to show up in that particular day, especially if you're from the US, because other countries may have a selection committee where you get chosen based off of your accolades. But being American, there has been situations where favorites don't even make the final, or favorites don't even make the team for the Olympics.
A thing Mo
tripped. And that's 4 years she doesn't get back. Like that is an opportunity she does not get back. So in situations like that, what makes the Olympics special is most athletes, like especially for women's 800, like the 800 is a young person's event. She is in her prime for the 800 right now. She may have missed her window of being dominant because there can be the next girl coming up.
Right.
Like there can be another phenom coming up. So those windows for dominance are so small. And it's the same thing with dynasties, where those windows for that to happen, things have to go perfect in that whole run. Things have to go perfect for those 3 years. You have to get the right free agents. You have to get the right team around you. You have to execute the right way on that day.
Right.
That's similar with the Olympics. You need that season, that build up. You need every year leading into that to go your way. If not, you're not going to make it to that day.
Yeah. And you brought up a good point with that when you talk about sponsors and TV time, because like you don't see track and field athletes on the Today Show in non-Olympic years. You know, you don't see these individuals going on, you know, Jimmy Fallon or whatever, like these shows. You don't see them on, you know, Coca-Cola commercials and commercials like that, like mainstream, like non-athletic commercial, Tide Pods, things like that. Like you don't see that outside of Olympic years, right? Like, and so that shows you where the money and the attention is, right?
I mean, even outside of track and field, let's talk about the Olympics in general, just real quick. The ESPN top 100 just dropped, and number 1 on the list was Michael Phelps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he since the top 100 athletes since the year 2000, Michael Phelps was number 1. And that's beating out Serena Williams. That's beating out LeBron James. That's beating out Kobe Bryant. Tom Brady.
Oh, wow.
Tom Brady was like 5. Usain Bolt was 9. But to put into perspective, the only thing people highlight about Michael Phelps's career are his Olympic medals, which is absurd because he has 28 medals. But that also goes to show you know how many world championship medals he's won? I don't know.
No.
Like,
no, and yeah.
They don't even care that about Michael Phelps, and he's considered the greatest athlete since 2000. And they do not care about.
And they only care about Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great analogy, because you and I care about, you know, medals at the World Championships, you know, and people like, you know, Josh Kerr and Jake Whiteman, right? You know, we're like, yeah, man, they're world champions, and like nobody, you know, there's a lot of people who don't know that, right?
Yeah. Or if you look at like Mo Farah, I can tell you like all his closing splits. I can tell you how many medals he's won at Worlds. I can tell you who beat him, who he outkicked, who challenged him. But if anyone else talks to him, they're like, oh yeah, just double gold.
Yeah, double gold. Yep.
Double gold. Yep. He won in Rio and he won in London. And it's like, no, he won. Like, Mo Farah won everything. Like,
Yeah.
from 2011 to 2017, he won like damn near everything. He only lost 2 races.
Yeah.
But everyone else is just like, nope, 2012, 2016. Like, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's great analogy with the dynasty. It's really it's really that dynastic multi-year sort of example that I feel meshes well with explaining this in terms of other sports. So getting into this, one quick little thing that I thought was pretty interesting was the repechage rounds. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
I was going to say, is that how you say it? I don't know how to say it.
Well, basically, it's kind of like a reanimation. It's like a get out of jail. It's like I don't know. Essentially, what it does is it replaces the small queue time qualifiers to advance to the semifinal. So it for longer distance events, it only applies to the 800 and the 1500s because they have 3 rounds. So after the preliminary round, there's going to be a repechage round, and then athletes from there advance to the semifinal. So it's a second chance. It's kind of cool, and I'm really excited to see how that unfolds. And it also gives athletes at least 2 races. So if you qualified in the 800 or the 15, you're at least guaranteed to get 2 races in. But that's also a lot of racing, especially if you're people who are doubling, that's going to be a lot of racing to have to do 4 1500 meters and then come back and do 2 5Ks. But that's kind of a little bit of just nuance of looking at the Olympics overview that I thought was pretty interesting.
Is there one from is it from the prelim to the semi, or is it from the semi to the final? Like, could you qualify into the final off of one of these what is it called? Repechage? How do you say it?
Repechage.
I might just say the loser bracket.
Loser. Yeah. Okay. Loser bracket. There you go. Thank you.
Say the loser bracket, man. That's way easier than hurting my ego trying to pronounce this. But
okay,
is it from semi to the final, or is this from prelim to semis?
So I'll read this from the Paris website. Athletes who do not qualify by finishing in the automatic qualifying positions in round 1 heats will have a second chance to qualify for the semifinals by participating in the repechage heat. So they're between round 1 and 2.
Okay. So this is like, in case if there's blunders, like they don't want Usain Bolt false starting again in the prelim.
Yeah.
And not being able to race the final. So if you false start in the prelim, it's like, okay, at least you get another chance. It kind of protects the storylines, it sounds like.
Yeah, it does. And it's I think they've gone away from time qualifier too. The small queues, I think, are gone.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Which events do you personally feel benefit the most from that?
800, maybe.
You think the 800?
I don't know. I just feel like 4 15s is a lot in 5 days. They're not doing it in the 100.
Oh, they're not?
They're not doing it in the 100.
Wow, I think that's the event that needs it the most because there's more blunders in the 100 than anything.
Okay, what about the 100 long distance? The 100 meters has the 100 meters has preliminary heats before round 1, so repechage for that event will not be introduced. So there's a lot of heats of the 100 that we don't ever see. They're like those like super early rounds that like really kind of like pool. It's almost like pool play where they limit it down to just the actual like quote unquote contenders. And then since there's already a layer before round 1 starts in the 100, they don't do it, but it'll be for the 200 basically to the 15.
Okay.
So we'll see. I will see how it works. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to kick things off starting from the 800?
Yeah. Let's talk about the men's 800.
The men's 800, in my opinion, went from being the weakest event in the world to the strongest event in the world in the span of 3 weeks.
The last 3 weeks?
Yeah, or let's give it like a month, starting with the USA trials, seeing Bryce Hoppel, Hobbs Kessler, and who got third for us? Who was the third person to make the team? It was Bryce Hoppel.
Brandon
Miller. Yeah. Seeing what they did in the prelim or in the semi heats, going sub 144, and then seeing Bryce go 142, we're like, dude, these guys are, or Hobbs and Bryce could medal. And then all of a sudden, Diamond League happened. Diamond League Paris. And on that new track.
Yep.
And we saw 3 guys or 4 guys go sub 142 and run like the number 7, 8, and 9 fastest times ever.
Yeah.
Like what comes to mind? What do you think is the biggest storyline at the moment for you in the 800?
The biggest storyline for me in the 800 for me overall, it's this Sajati guy. He's really catapulted in this year, and like I went back and I watched that Diamond League race where he ran 142 or 141, and for his ability to accelerate off the front of that field in the last 100 meters after coming through at 48 seconds, like that's just incredible. So I think, and the fact that he, is a returning silver medalist from Eugene, that's a pretty good storyline there. I also like, where Bryce is. I like where Bryce is. I think he's in a good position. He really hasn't been pressed too much this season. He was world champion indoor, right?
Yeah, he won indoors.
So I want to see. I think he has a good story. Him and his training partner Hobbs Kessler. They have a good thing going, and then also you got this 19-year-old from Kenya, Emmanuel,
Winyani or
Winyani. Yeah, Winyani. He's been tearing it up as well too. So I think you're right. It went from being one of the weakest, kind of like, I'll catch the final, to like, man, I'm gonna be tuned in to watching every round of that one.
Yeah. The other one that stands out too is Gabriel Tuwal. So, no, I don't want to really. I'm not the type that's going to be throwing out allegations out there, but so Tuwal ran 144 as his PB this season, and he was European champion. From the European Championships to that Diamond League race, he went from 144 to 141.
That's huge, man.
3 seconds.
That's a big 3 seconds.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to raise an eyebrow here, but still, like, to make that kind of jump shows that there's not going to be pacers in Paris.
No.
So he has as good of a chance as Sajati, but I do agree with you in terms of Sajati being the biggest storyline, just because, dude, his acceleration is nuts. When he ran the 141, his last 100 was under 13 seconds.
It's nuts. That's off a fast pace.
Yeah.
So if you had to, who is your top 3?
Top 3, I'm gonna go Sajati, Tuwal, and Hoppel. I think Winyoni is gonna wind up cooking himself a little bit just because he's still a little young. I think he's 19. I feel like, despite him running fast, I feel like he might make some rookie mistakes in the rounds, and then he's going to be the guy to take it out in the final, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel like those 3 guys,
they're are
just going to be able to kick off of them.
Yeah, because they've already shown that they can kick off fast paces.
Exactly.
So where do you think Marco Arop lands? From Canada, he won last year in Budapest. He's medaled in the past. Where do you think he is?
I think he's clean. I think that's why. But Marco Arop, he got the doors blown off him in Diamond League Monaco.
Yeah.
He fought. So he went with 300 to go. As soon as the pacer dropped out, he made a hard move on that backstretch and got swallowed alive, which was very disheartening to watch because he is the defending world champion. He ran 144 on the roads this year.
Oh my! They had a road 800.
They had a road. Adidas put on like the super.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
And he ran a 144, so everyone was going to say he's going to be unbeatable, but somehow 142. He ran 142.9, which would have won Worlds last year, and he looked like he was walking. They looked like he was standing still versus all these guys kicking him down on the home stretch. So A-Rob, I don't think you can count him out, but I think he's definitely going to have to change his strategy. I think if he wants to win or medal, he's going to have to not be as eager, not try to be as dominant, and try to match them in terms of accelerating as late as possible versus 300 to go the way he did in Monaco.
So you think Wyone's going to take it out and it's going to be hot, and then these guys are going to like come around him like 150 to go?
Yeah, I think so. Who are your top three?
Very similar to yours, Sajati. I had Wyone second and then Bryce third. So I was a little bit higher on Wyone, but still the same first and third. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I think that's going to be an exciting one to watch.
Yeah, there's realistically like 4 or 5 guys that can win it. I think if you're under 142.5, like you have a real chance to win.
Do you think we'll see a world record?
Ooh, honestly, I don't know, man. I can't say
140.9, 140.9.
I'm gonna say no world record. I don't think they go under 141. Like if they run 141.1, I think that'd still be insane to me. But to break 141, oh my god, like I can't see that happen. I can't see anybody going out there and being like, I'm gonna break the world record today, the way Rudisha did. And it has to be the perfect storm, the way it happened for Rudisha, where he was trying to drop, what's his name from Botswana, Nigel Amos. He was trying to drop him. That's what led to the world record. They interviewed him about it after Worlds last year or during Worlds last year, and he's a spokesperson for the IAAF now, or World Athletics, and he's an ambassador. And he was saying the only reason he got that world record was because with 200 to go, he saw Nigel Amos wasn't dropping off. And so he was like, I got to keep pushing where he's going to get me. And he was right. It's the world record to beat Amos.
Oh, man. That's awesome. That's such a cool story.
Yeah. But I think Sajati's a kicker. Hopple's a kicker. If it's going to happen, Wyone is going to be the guy to take it out, because when that amazing race in Paris happened, he was on the pacer.
Yeah.
And he was the guy to make it happen on the third 200.
Yep.
I can't see any of these guys making it happen on the third 200 if it's not Wyone.
Yep. I think it's him. I agree. Women's 8.
Women's 8.
We've had a lot of recent like last weekend performances, specifically from the British women, with Keely Hodgkinson, Hodgkinson, right?
Yeah, right? Hodgkinson. Okay. Yeah.
Keely Hodgkinson running 154 at London on our home turf, and Gemma Riki running 155, and then also Georgia Bell running 156. That was all in the same race too, I think.
Yeah.
So British dominance in the women's 800 right now at this very moment. How do you see this race playing out?
Dude, I really don't know because of so the big elephant in the room is there's no Athing Mu.
Right.
And since 2021, Athing Mu has taken every race out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of these women race without Athing Mu at all in my lifetime, because you have Mora, who she's maybe 22 years old, 23 years old. She's not very old. Same
23,
thing.
Yeah. 24.
Yes. Same thing with Keely Hodgkinson. Same thing with Gemma Riki. They're all from the same era, and they know one way of racing, and that's get behind Athing Mu and try to beat her.
Yep.
Well, how it plays out, I do think that someone's going to take it out. I don't know who that someone is going to be. I do think I don't think we're going to see a record by any means, but I think it will probably be one in like 156. But how do you think it's going to play out?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it could get out. What we kind of saw at the trials for the women's 8 is that it would get out kind of like aggressive in that first 150, but it would kind of settle in around the turn, right, and pack up again, and then string out again in that third 200. So I think you're right. I don't think it's like, I think the men could be hot. They could be like fast, because I think Wyone could take it out, but I think there's enough. I think for the women's race it could bunch up a little bit in the second 200.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Keely's the favorite. I think Keely's the favorite. I think she is running really well right now. And I think she could pull off the dub.
So Keely, she is the queen of the silver. I don't think she has a major gold just yet. She
Oh
got
man,
second in
she's
the
gotten
Olympics,
yep.
second at Worlds, second last year at Worlds, second at Europeans. She has the most second place finishes at World
She was second at
Majors.
Europeans.
I believe so. And she was second at, maybe not this year, but she was also second at Commonwealths. Or maybe not even second. She might have gone third or fourth at Commonwealths
Oh
when
man,
it last happened.
she's
So
due. She's due.
she's due. So I think the biggest storyline there is, does Killy finally get it done? Like,
Yeah,
can she finally get it done? I
she's
agree
gotten
right now.
silver every year since Tokyo.
Yeah, I agree right now that she should be the favorite after that run in London. But also, you can't count out the defending world champion, Marat.
Yeah.
Like, end of day, she just wasn't in that race. We don't know what she could have done if she was in that race. But I'm excited to see if Keely can finally get it done. She is silver medalist at the moment, perpetually. Hasn't been able to make that final push, even at the European level, even at the Commonwealth level.
Yeah.
So seeing her finally make that jump would be exciting.
That would be exciting. But that was a big PR though. That was a British record for her to run 154. So, yeah, I had her first, then Mora, then Riki. So I think the British women have a chance to put multiple athletes on the podium.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to be the naysayer and say I think Marat's gonna take it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna give Hodgkinson second, and then Riki
four in a row.
4 in a row, man. Unfortunately, I think she's a great time trialer, but I think something gets to her at that championship meet. And again, that's me hating from outside the club because silver is still not bad, but also like getting that little bump up or getting that confidence to win races at that level is, I think, let's hope she's figured it out because I would love to see that happen.
I guess the good news for her is that for Keely is that she did win that Diamond League meet, and so she did win it, right? So she knows how to win races. Again, it was paced, and she definitely had the entire stadium behind her, with it being in London. But yeah, you're right. Hey, there could be a little underlying thing there, but I think it's gonna be a great race either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the whole, as we're segueing into the 1500, it's the whole Jakob situation. Jakob is undefeated for the last since the Diamond League final in 2021. Jakob is undefeated in the 1500, except at the World Championships.
Yeah. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. Maybe the premier event of the entire Olympic Games. I'm putting it up there with like Team USA basketball.
In my opinion, dude, this has to be one of the greater assembled 1500 meter finals that we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
The heat sheet doesn't do it much justice right now, but like you throw in Josh Kerr in there too. He hasn't raced a 15 this year, which is strange. What do you think about that?
I think it's interesting. I was like thinking about it the past 2 days. I'm like, what do we do with Kerr? What's Kerr doing? Like, how are you not racing more 15s? He's only done the pre-mile. And he did a lot of that base stuff, those longer over distance races early in the season, and he did well there. And he raced pre is early, kind of earlier season for the pros, right?
Yeah.
It's more of an early season.
Yeah, it's all their season openers technically.
Yeah. So my thoughts are like, he's fine. He's the defending world champion. He's the defending Olympic bronze medalist. He's doing his thing, and he's just locked in, and there's nothing to worry about. Business as usual. But part of me is like, dude, Jakob and Chariot both just crushed a 1500 in Monaco, and so did Yared. So and Kerr not doing the 15 at the British trials, the British championships. He did the 8 and he got tripped up. But he had, with their qualifying system, he had a spot locked in already, being a defending champion. And then also he didn't participate at all at Europeans, right?
No, he didn't do any Europeans. So the last we seen him was at the British Championships, and then prior to that was the Hayward Premier in May.
The Hayward Premier?
Yeah, outside of pre-classic. So he's raced 3 times this outdoor season. The first one was the Hayward Premier on May 5th. He did an 800 round 145. Pre-classic at the end of May. And then British Champs 800.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know, I follow him. He seems to be fine. He seems to be doing well in his workouts and his training, but like part of me wants to see some work samples here, and his competitors are out there racing, and his competitors are doing well as well. What do you think?
So what's something that throws me off is the rest of his team has been racing.
Yeah, like Brandon Miller,
like at every meet that we go to. The Brooks Beasts are racing week in, week out. So it's hard for me to be like, okay, it's because of his program. Maybe I don't even know what to think. Maybe the trip to Europe, they were being extra cautious with it. Or maybe, who knows, maybe he did get a little dinged up after pre-classic and they're just not talking about it. Maybe, I don't even know what to think about that, just because. So I was having a conversation with this about Mondo. And so for context, Mondo coaches Cal Poly Distance Club. He's former local legend, stuff like that. He was my landlord for a little bit. And his whole thought about Kerr was, if I'm Kerr's coach, I put him back in a base phase after pre-classic because he's been cooking for so long. He's like, so I put him back in a base phase, maybe race him in some 800s, get his speed back up. He's like, but your goal is to run 327 in the final at the Olympics. Like, you need to be strong. Like, I wouldn't even worry about racing. Like, you went out, you ran 345 as your season opener. Clearly the strength and the speed are there. Let's get you even stronger so that you're ready for that final round. Because if you can't run, like Jakob's probably going to run 327 in the final, 328 low. So it's like, if you can't run that 327, you're screwed, like on round 3. So Mondo telling me that was very interesting because I'm like, well, I kind of agree. Like, I would put him back in a base phase.
Yeah.
Just to focus on strength a little bit. Maybe that's why he's been prioritizing the 800. It's like, okay, let's focus on getting your speed endurance up. Let's focus on the strength stuff. And then let's race some 8s to make sure that you're still sharp.
Yeah. That's a good analysis. That's an excellent coaching. That's experience. That's a veteran observation there. And maybe that's what he's doing. That could be what he's doing. He's not worried about racing. And maybe you look at the opposite there with Jakob racing a lot. He was kind of dinged up early in the winter, right? So maybe he's kind of more racing himself into shape, right? He needs that confidence that, like, I can do it. I can toe the line. I can go out here, run these fast times. And maybe Josh doesn't need that right now. Maybe Josh needs just consistency. He needs to be locked in. He needs to be, does he at altitude? Do they go to altitude?
Yeah, they go to Albuquerque.
They go to, yeah. Okay. He's New Mexico. That's right.
Yeah.
So it's just probably just 2 very different paths to getting to the same place, which ultimately is going to be the gold medal podium for them, right? So
yeah, and that's the thing. They're 2 polar opposite programs. Like, Jakob is double threshold aerobic running, and you look at Kerr, they're very high intensity, very in the winter and stuff. They'll be doing their threshold workouts, their 800 repeats, their tempos, but they're very high intensity at Brooks Beast. And Jakob is very the opposite. So he uses races as his stimulus for the 1500.
Right. And then we also have, our Americans, Yared and Cole, who I think are going to factor into this equation. And I think Nordas cannot be counted out here. I think the guy, he medaled in Budapest last year. I think he could be a disruptor. I think he's kind of on that, like, right outside the medal range. But like, if things get weird, if things kind of like get slow, or, he can sneak in there. I don't think Jakob's going to let that happen. But how do you see this race playing out? How do you see it going out from the gun all the way through the finish?
We saw at Europeans what I expected exactly to look like. I think Jakob played his hand at Europeans on what he's going to do at the Olympics. He's going to get out slow the first 100. He's going to take the lead at down the back stretch on the last lap. I mean, down on the home stretch of the first lap. My bad. They're going to come through 300 in about 41, 42. Jakob's going to maintain it for two laps. 600 to go. He's going to start squeezing down. Every 100, he's going to start squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And I think his goal is to force Kerr or those speed guys to have to make an aggressive move earlier on to get to the front. And while he's in control, those guys are going to have to use a golden mushroom to get to the front to begin with. Because if he's running a 13-1 in the front and those guys are still mid-pack, which he's probably studying tape. He's probably watching. Kerr at Worlds last year was at about 6th or 7th going into the penultimate lap. Or during the penultimate lap, with about 700 to go, Kerr started making his move. Same thing with pre-classic. He was in the middle of the pack with 700 to go and started making his move up, and then got to the front with 600 to go. I have a feeling Jakob is going to be like, okay, if you're going to start in the middle of the pack, you're going to have to run a 12.5 to get to the front, or you're going to have to run a 12.7, or you're going to have to step on the gas to try to even level me out. And I'm so much stronger than you that I'm going to have more to go in that last 100.
So what you're saying is, like, if these guys, if Cole, if Chariot, if Yared, if Kerr, they're mid pack with 600 to go and he starts squeezing, they're going to have to really burn one hard to get to the front, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what
and so they're going to have to, like, because that's going to be really hard to run a 12 mid, a 12 low, just to get on his shoulder, right? Now, we're not even talking about kicking for the final race, right? For the final finish. We're talking about just to pull up to first, second, third place.
Exactly.
And a lot of people say you only get one move in a 1500. And so in that case, Jakob hasn't even made his move yet, right? He's just squeezing down the tempo. So I think you're right there. I think that he showed his card. He kind of showed what the plan is, and kind of from his competitor's perspective, did remind me again, how did Kerr win pre?
He took it from 600 to go.
Oh, right. Okay. So he took it from 600 to go. And in Hawker at the US final, was it 250 to go? Was it right? It was right around 250 to go, right?
Yeah, he made his move at 300 to go, but like I mentioned, Hawker was middle of the pack.
Right.
He was in like 4th place, 5th place going into the final kick, or going into that last 300. Just the thing was, he did use a golden mushroom, but he was racing against the more tired Yared, who led the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more feasible.
Yeah, it's a little bit more feasible domestically, right? For Cole Hawker. So I guess the point that I'm trying to get at is that, like, the competitors have been trying to step up their game and being able to kick from farther out, right?
Yeah.
So I think Jakob's going to have his hands full. I think they're, when you look at Cole, when you look at Kerr, these guys have a tool kit, to address Jakob's style of racing, because this is very different styles of racing, right? Different skill sets with Jakob compared to people like Cole and Kerr, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's going to be really, really exciting. Where do you see Tim Chariot? Or how do you think he's going to? Where's his positioning in this race? He's caught fire in the past couple weeks.
Tim Chariot, I think you're going to see him in the top 3 the whole race. You're going to see him sitting on whoever the pacer is, which I'm assuming is going to be Jakob. I think Tim, I think Tim's going to position himself in the front, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Tim Chariot make a move.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. One thing,
he's not shook.
No, Tim Chariot still thinks he's him. And that's the thing about him, is just he's been injured for a little bit. He's also focusing on his potato farm a little bit too much. But the thing about it, he's still 328.7.
Yeah.
Like, people forget how he won in 2017, the stretch move where he ran a 54-second second lap
Yep.
and that was his move.
Yep.
I would not be surprised if we see something like that again. And I would not be surprised if that's the reason Jakob loses, is because Tim tries to drop a move on lap 2 or lap 3 to take the lead from Jakob and winds up making Jakob use a golden mushroom too early, trying to hold off Tim for the lead.
Yeah.
But also with how pre-classic played out, when Jakob showed he's not afraid to tuck in. Because I think, who was it? It was It was the other Kenyan runner. Why am I forgetting his name right now? He's the guy that's been in the final the last couple times. He's gone like 4th a couple times. But point is, Kipsang.
Abel Kipsang? Yeah.
Kipsang.
Okay.
We saw Jakob tucking behind him at pre. So I think if Tim were to make a move early on, I wouldn't be surprised if Jakob tucked in, but I would also not be surprised to see Tim make a move very early on to try to keep it honest and try to keep it quick.
So many dynamics, so many skill sets. It's going to be such a great race. It's so stacked.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your top 3?
I'm going to go 1 Jakob, 2 Kerr, 3 Chariot.
Oh, that's good.
No Americans. I think if we have to keep it extending just because this is the event that I'm most excited to watch the final for, I'm going to go 4 Hawker. I'm going to go 5 Nagoose. And then I'm going to go 6 Brian Coleman.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very accurate, safe bet. I had the same top 2, Jakob and Kerr, but I did pick Cole. I did pick Cole for the 3rd spot, and it was like I have a little whiteboard, and I raced Cole, and I wrote Tim, and then I raced Tim, and I wrote Cole, and it's like I was like, these are dogs, dude. These are absolute dogs at the top of their game, and I'm actually glad you picked Tim because I wanted to pick Tim. So there's at least one member of the Lane One Talk Show here has picked him.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be to close out the 1500 real quick for the men. I just think it's going to take a 327 to win or 328 low. And I think come round 3, we saw what happened to Hawker in the 5K. I think come round 3, Hawker might struggle a little bit to run 328. Not saying that I don't think he can run 328 fresh, but I'm talking round 3 of the men's 1500. I think Hawker might struggle to run that quick of a pace.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is a lot. But yeah, definitely bookmarking that event for sure.
Yeah.
Going on to the women's 1500. I think one of the major storylines that people are talking about is Sifan Hassan potentially quadrupling in the 15, 5K, 10K, and marathon. So just to give you a little hint of what that looks like, I mapped out the days that she would have to race. So Friday, right? Friday, she would have to do the heats of the 5K. The heat of the 5K. That's Friday. Monday, final of the 5K. Tuesday, round 1 of the 15. That's Tuesday. Thursday, 1,500 meter semis. Friday, 10,000 meters final. Saturday, 1,500 meter final. Sunday, marathon. So from Thursday to Sunday, she's racing every day at the Olympics.
She's DNFing in the marathon for sure.
I don't think she's completing that marathon. So, hey, shout out Sifan. That's an incredible schedule. You're racing more days than you're off.
Okay, if you were her, which events would you pick?
The 5 and the 10.
5 and 10. What about marathon at the end of it?
I would either go just marathon or 5 and 10.
Yeah, no 15. 15's not even part of the question.
I don't know. I mean, she's getting a little up there in age. I'm not saying that she couldn't do it. That's just kind of what I would think her best shots are. because she is fast. But she did medal in the 5:15 last year at.
Was she medaled last year?
Yeah, she medaled.
Oh wow, I did not know that she medaled last year in the 1500.
She got third.
Oh wow, she got bronze. Are you? Oh wait, last year? Oh my God, she got bronze in 2021. Didn't she also triple in 2021?
Yeah, I think so.
So all she's thinking is that like, yeah, I can just casually airdrop a marathon at the end of that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that sounds really tough. So, yeah, we got some OGs. We definitely got some fast women here. Gudaf Segay has one of the top times. She's run 350 this year. I'm not entirely sure if she's going to do the 15 because she's also one of the top seeds she's also one of the top performers in the 5 and the 10. She could triple. Yeah. I couldn't find much on like what her trajectory is. She's one of the best distance runner women in the world across any event. So, but you know, I'm kind of just projecting that maybe she doesn't do the 15. And I was looking, I had Faith Kipyegon first, Jessica Hull, who just ran 350 for an Australian record, second, and then going for Nikki for the bronze.
You think Nikki's gonna bronze?
Nikki's getting the bronze.
Damn. I
am biased towards Americans. Like, I am biased towards Americans, though.
Yeah, I'm a toss-up between Ellie St. Pierre, just because Ellie St. Pierre ran the 5K.
Ooh.
Like, at the trials, and then led wire to wire, set the trials record, but just happened to get outkicked by Nikki, who had a pacer for 1,450 meters.
Yep.
So I got to go with Ellie because I don't think that she's going to lead it this entire time. If she does, she's foolish. But also, I am seeing that Segay is selected for the Ethiopian team. She selected to triple.
Oh, she selected a triple? Okay.
She selected a triple as well.
Okay.
But
that'll mix things up for sure. Yeah, I thanks for pulling that up. But yeah, I think, you know, long story short, I'm high on Faith, Jessica Hull, and Nikki.
Jessica Hull has had one of the crazy ascensions this year. She went from a 357 PB to 350. And then set the 2K world best because it's not a world record.
Yeah, it's not world. Yeah.
Distance.
So she's in medal shape. I mean, if things get weird, she could win this thing.
Do you think she wins it, or do you think Faith is going to be too much to handle regardless of how the race plays out?
I think Faith is the clear favorite between those two if you're going to line them up. I think Faith is more well-rounded in that way.
Yeah.
You know, I think Faith is a stronger runner. I think she's the faster runner. But like, I definitely think Hull is a short list medal contender.
All right. I'm going to pick my top 3. I'm going to go Faith, St. Pierre, Hull.
Ooh.
Silver.
Oh, St. Pierre silver. I like it.
St. Pierre for the silver.
I like it.
Yeah. Do we know what's going on with Laura Muir? Has she not raced this year? Oh yeah, she has. She's right there at 353. She's even a contender. Shoot.
Yeah, she's a contender. She's fast.
Yeah, she's good to go this year. She's ahead of St. Pierre and PB and Hiltz.
Dude, the Brits women's.
I mean, DMR, men too.
their DMR would just be OP.
Yeah, same thing with the men too. Like Great Britain for men and women are insane.
Insane. Okay, you want to move on to the 5? The men's 5?
Yeah. All right.
I honestly have not. I want to get your thoughts on this. I have not heard a lot of people talking about the men's 5. I feel like there's been a lot of chatter about the 15, the 8, the 10, and not a lot about the 5.
Well, everyone just thinks Ingebrigtsen's going to win it. And that's why I think the biggest storyline is the world versus Jakob.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that he's untouchable in the 5K, which is actually kind of crazy because So he almost got beat at the Norwegian Championships by Nordas. He got him by like 0.1.
Dude. Old Cuzzy Nordas. He's disruptive, bro.
Yeah, dude. And if you're the Africans, are you teaming up and being like, bro, one of us has to beat him? Because you have Selamin Barega, you have Hago Skeberwet, and you have Yomif Kajelcha.
Yep.
Like those three guys are all on the top 10 all-time list for the 5K. Jakob is not. And then what you saw in the men's 3K last year at Pre-Classic is that Yomif Kajelcha has a real shot at being able to beat Jakob head-to-head. He lost him by 0.01.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you're the Ethiopians, do you guys talk and be like, bro, we have to make this thing go fast?
Well, I think Ethiopia has been known for team tactics, right?
Yeah.
Like they've used team tactics before. Like Bekele and Haile Gebrselassie back in the day. Like I feel like they tend to of the countries, like they more so than other countries work together.
Yeah, so like what we saw in 2017 with Mo Farah, you had Kajelcha, you had why am I forgetting his name? The guy who won it that year. Yeah, Mukhtar Idris. You had Idris, Yomif Kajelcha, and there was a third one. And them three disrupted Mo Farah's last K. What he normally does is he takes it from the K, starts squeezing it down to 30s, and then last lap drops at 52. They took the lead from him going into the bell lap, and they are the first people to take the lead from him since 2011 in Daegu. And
wow,
they were disruptive, and it resulted in Idris being able to outkick Mo down the home stretch.
Yeah, these dudes can run, man. These dudes can run, and they can work together. And they're both like Hagos and Yomif. They're in good form right now. They recently ran in the 1230s. I mean, Hagos almost broke the world record in the event this year. So
yeah, number 2 all time.
How do you think this race is going to play out?
I think someone from Uganda is going to take it out. Who do they have in there? They have Cheptegei, Oscar Chalimo, and Jacob Kiplimo. I think they're probably going to sacrifice Oscar Chalimo to take it out. Like, dead serious. I think they're probably going to... Oh, Bearhu Awagawa's in here too. Wait.
Yeah, you're right. Like, Uganda's not afraid to sacrifice a runner. I feel like they've done that before.
Yeah, they have done that in the 10K as well. But I think someone's going to have to sacrifice... Someone's going to have to send a sacrificial lamb to make it go out fast, but I think ultimately they're going to end up dying off because it's going to be warm in Paris.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see it very similar to Eugene, where it was one, and Budapest, where it was one in like 1307. And then Jakob's just going to squeeze it down from a K to go, start running 30s, and then outkick everybody. And I think that's going to be how it ultimately plays out. The only way I can see that getting disrupted is if the Ugandans or if the Ethiopians wind up doing something about it.
How do you think Grant's doing? Where do you think Grant is in this conversation?
So Grant has looked good, but I feel like he's always there. Grant is a tough one to tell. I think he has a better shot of medaling in the 10K.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, in 2022, he was literally 120 meters away from medaling if he didn't trip.
But he's mentioned that moment in at least one podcast that I listened to, and like Grant's an elephant when it comes to that stuff, man. Like, he doesn't forget, and he makes changes in his training and his preparation. So I feel like he's, whatever it is that you need to do to address things like that, he's addressing it, right? Like, whether it's mentally or training wise, so you can't, you can't bet against Grant. I just think that this, like you said, I think his shot to medals more so in the 10K.
I think he gets 5th in the 5K.
Yeah.
But the guy I have a question for you about is, does Luis Grijalva, after 2 consecutive years of getting 4th, finally medal, or how do you like his chances?
It's just so stacked this year, man. I mean, you got the boys. You got the boys from Ethiopia, man. You have a strong Ethiopian team. You have Ingebrigtsen, you have the Ugandans, you have Cheptegei and Kiplimo. I mean, the Ugandans, they could sacrifice Chalimo and still have two medal contenders, right? Like, I don't know, man. I like Luis. He's cool. I talked to him. He was in Orlando for the trials. He was at the Hoka at the Hoka spot. I don't know, man. I think it's super talented year. I think it's going to be tough for him to finally medal, but I do want him to.
Yeah. What place did he get at Bislett Games? He was like 5th.
Bislett.
Yeah, it's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was 5th at Bislett Games.
Yeah.
Or 6th, actually. Dude. Yeah, who the hell is that guy from Spain? I haven't heard of him the rest of the year. But yeah, random guy from Spain ran 12:48. Thierry Indiku when
Wenayo. Oh yeah.
Yeah, random guy ran 12:48. Never heard of him. But yeah, there's a lot of guys here that can medal, man. And not to backtrack too far back, but real quick, just because we're talking about depth, what came to mind in the men's 1500, Nels Laros ran 3:49 after falling in the mile.
Oh wow!
In Diamond League London, ran 3:49 and got and got 4th.
Oh wow!
After falling in the first 100, got up and finished. So like, dude, we're just in a golden era for distance running right now that I don't think people are realizing. I kind of wish we had like a Netflix docuseries the way Sprint did.
Yeah, that would be cool to dude. If you had some like, because you know how they went to in the Netflix series, they went to Jamaica.
Yeah,
like if they went to Ethiopia and Uganda and Kenya, that would be so cool. Or like, you go to Flagstaff or
St. Moritz.
That I think that would be so cool.
That would be dope. But yeah, not to go too off topic there, but that would be freaking dope. Just because we're in like this golden era where everybody is so good. But let's just for the sake of time, let's bridge over to the women's 5K.
Yeah,
the women's 5K to me is interesting because you obviously have Sagai who's going to triple. You have Beatrice Chibet. You have Safan Hassan who's going to triple. And then I'm pretty sure Yade is racing the 5K as well, right?
Yeah. Who I don't know, Elizabeth, has she? Oh, she raced this year. She raced in China. There's this Chinese race that a lot of Ethiopians did.
Yeah.
In April. Yeah. So Gide is still in there. I think this event is the best. Is the event that Safan Hassan is most likely to medal in because it's early in the schedule. It's for women. It's in the first part. So it's not, later in the meet where she's racing a lot.
Yeah, but she got beat. She got mollywopped that pre-classic. She was. Yeah. I remember I thought she was having a bad race until I saw that the women were just running like sub 14:20.
I mean, the gal, she tripled in Tokyo. She was silver medalist last year. It's like,
wait, last year didn't she trip in the final too? Like in the last 50 meters?
She tripped and like there's for most people, for like 90% of athletes, I want to see something that you did like yesterday, right? And Safan might be getting to that point where it's like she's fine, right? She's fine and everything's going to be okay, at least for this first part of the Olympics, right? When you're racing, when we get to kind of the women's 10K, which is between semis of the 15, that might be a different story. But for the 5K, it's early enough in the meet where I think that she could do some damage. So I do think I have her getting third in the 5K with Sige first and Faith second. Faith Yegon.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick.
And then we have our women. We have Cranny and Schweizer, of course, from the trials, and then we have Whitney Morgan because Ellie St. Pierre dropped and then Parker Valby dropped. We we're taking Whitney Morgan, which I really like this story because this is like the exact opposite of what other countries do. They would just take 2, right? Other countries would just take, if they would just be like, fine, we're just taking 2. But the U.S. calls Whitney, hey, you want to go to Paris? Yes. And so she gets to go to Paris. I think that's
what
really
does she
cool.
run this year?
She's qualified. She's qualified
by ranking for sure, right?
By Whitney. Where is she? I just saw it.
She's
world ranking. Yeah,
world ranking 61.
She's 61st place in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know either, but
yeah. So
she'll be happy to participate.
Yeah. So you want to head down to the men's 10?
Yeah.
This is going to be such a great race. It's the boys. The Ethiopians are so dominant in this event this year. Like, so many of the top performances have come out of this country. They ran this race is that a Diamond League in Spain, or is that just a race in Spain in June?
Which one are you talking about? Oh, that Spain race? That was the Ethiopian trials.
Oh, okay. That got it. That was the Ethiopian trial. Okay.
Yeah, that was the Ethiopian trials. They had it in Spain, perfect conditions. And yeah, it's a super stacked race. You see all the way the performance list 1 through 6 is all Ethiopians, but it's looking like the top 3 that you see there is the top 3 that the Ethiopians selected for their team. So went very US route. They're going Yomif Kajelcha, Berhu Awagawi, and Selman Barega for the men's 10K.
Yeah, it's stacked. It's very stacked. Not too much out of Kenya in the top. This is for a country that has been dominant in the past.
Their best guy got busted for doping this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Kipruto, man.
Oh, Ronix. That's right. Thank you for the reminder there. Yeah. So that was her top distance runner, right? The top long distance runner.
Yup. Ronix Kipruto. And he got banned for doping this year, unfortunately.
Didn't he get a 6-year?
He got a 6-year because he oh wait, no, that wasn't Kipruto. That was Evans Chibet in the marathon.
Okay.
Yeah. Ronix Kipruto,
he
tested
4-year.
positive. He fought it with his lawyers saying that it was corruption, and he lost the case because he didn't have any proof. But Kenya we're going to say they have slouches, but Daniel Matiko has run 26:50. Nicholas Kipkorir has run 26:50. And then Edwin Kerr, actually Flagstaff based. He's roommates with my boy, Abraham Alvarado.
Oh.
He's Under Armour Dark Sky, Edwin Kerr. 26:51.
So he trains with a U.S. team.
Yeah. He's based in the U.S. And 26:51. So Kenya's still going to send some killers. Like, their performance list this year is better than the U.S.
And I think, like you said about the 5K, I think this race is going to not be super fast with the heat. It's probably going to be close to like 27, 20.
Probably with the heat. Historically, I wouldn't be surprised by like a 27:40.
Yeah. So it's just going to be mayhem in the last 1,600 meters.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be some parts there in the middle that are kind of like a little slow and bunched up, but you never know. The Ugandans could sacrifice somebody. But I have Yomif winning, followed by Barega, followed by Grant Fisher getting the bronze.
No Cheptegei. Man, so that's a storyline that I did like, is Joshua Cheptegei.
Yes.
So because he's not a big PR figure, doesn't get the attention, but something to consider about Joshua Cheptegei and his standing in the whole grand scheme of things. If he wins, it puts him into a whole nother stratosphere of what kind of athlete he is in the distance running history. So he won gold in the 10K in 2019, silver in 2021, gold in 22, and gold in 23. He's also won gold in the 5K in 2021, and I think he folded and got like 9th in 2022, and then was silver in 2023 in the 5K. So if he were to win the 10K in 2024, that'd give him a gold in 19, 22, 23, and 24, which puts him in a crazy stratosphere.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And you don't have him medaling. He hasn't lost it. He's only lost one 10K.
Yeah, massive
and
L.
that was in 2021.
Say, who's your top three?
I'm gonna say Cheptegei, three-peats.
Three-peats?
And he gets his Olympic gold. I'm gonna go second place. I am going to go, I want to say Kajelcha. And then third, I'm gonna go Grant Fisher.
Grant Fisher. Okay.
Grant Fisher gets the medal.
Grant Fisher gets the medal. I think you're probably right. I think I missed the wagon on that one. But that would be epic, dude. Honestly, like I know I made my pick, but like I want him to get that three-peat.
Just for the legacy. But that's the thing, is like he has such little PR that people don't really know how good Joshua.
Yeah, he's super quiet. He's very quiet and not super out there in the public or anything. You're right.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about him too is he's the 5K and 10K world record holder. He's the fastest ever at those events as well. But people will not unanimously recognize him as the GOAT.
Yeah,
or they cannot. Like, I don't know what it's going to take for him, how much he's going to have to keep winning to enter that conversation. But I feel if he wins this gold, he can enter that conversation.
Yeah, he can enter that GOAT conversation. Do you think he could enter that Mo Farah conversation?
I don't know, just because, like I said, it comes with the moxie of it all, right? Like, it comes with the persona that they have. Like, Mo Farah, in a lot of people's eyes, isn't in the GOAT conversation. Like, for me personally, I think Mo Farah is top 3. And, but there's people who, number one, Bekele, you cannot touch Bekele.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Gebre Selassie, and it's not close. And there's not a close third. And then for third, people want to argue like Daniel Komen. People want to argue like
Kipchoge.
Yeah, people want to argue Kipchoge. People want to argue who's the guy? There was the flying Finn. I forget it. Pavlo Nurmi.
Yeah.
Who won? Pavlo Nurmi. He won like everything in the 50s. And people have all these different selections to where Mo Farah like is unanimously like usually ranked. If you look at any of those YouTube videos, they have him around like 6 or 7, because they also put Hisham Al Garouj over him. They put guys like that over him. So, and that's because in track and field, people value records. That at one point, all these guys have held world records.
Right.
But if you look at resumes as a whole, like Cheptegei's resume is as good as Bekele's. The only thing Bekele has over Cheptegei is cross country. But Cheptegei's resume on the track, in my opinion, is as good, if not better, than Bekele.
I like it.
But there's also the argument Bekele did win very dominantly, but Bekele lost a lot of races he should have won.
Yeah. Didn't Bekele used to win the 12K and the 4K back when we had the 4K in cross country?
Yeah, he used to win long and short. Yeah, that's what it was. Just at the time, Bekele was winning everything, and he was winning dominantly. Like, gone are the days where people are gapping the field. Bekele was gapping the field at the Olympics and at Worlds. Like, he was creating 50-meter gaps.
Yeah. So, I like it. I like this. I like this take. He has to be. If he medals, I think if he medals, he's in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation. He just doesn't have that persona around him.
It's a persona. Yeah.
Aura. He doesn't have that aura.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Women 10K?
Women's 10K.
We do have Beatrice Chibet in this race, who has run 28:54 this year.
She has better 10K than me, bro.
Oh, man. The top 2 women this year are like very far ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, but you got to hope that they can run that at the actual day. And then Segay is going to be 3 races deep.
Yeah. Yep.
Or 5 races deep.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's not going to be ideal conditions at all. So, but we kind of talked about this at our last episode though, right? Like, is like, you know, if your PR is 29 flat, is is 29:45 easier than someone whose PR is 29:45.
Yeah.
So I think that this is going to be similar to the men's race. I think it's going to get out, and I think it's going to kind of like run tempo and kind of be bunched up, and maybe some little moves here and there that don't last. And then it's just going to go sicko mode in the last 1,000.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not going to argue with that.
I mean, I just with the dominance of Chebet and Segay, I really think those are the top two favorites this year. And who do you have?
I got to throw Geber Salama in there.
Yeah.
From Ethiopia. She won the pre-classic 5K.
Oh, that's right. She did, didn't she?
In 14:18. So I'm going to go with her as the favorite.
Oh, okay.
For me personally, she's 7th on the performance list, but I think I think in the 10K, it's going to be less about PBs, similar to like how we see Grant get 4th, similar to like how we see Galen Rupp get 2nd and stuff like that, or Mo Farah, even though they're not dominating the performance list. I think they're training a race. And Geber Salama, she won against the most stacked Ethiopian field. And then she won the 10 solo, right?
Mm-hmm.
At J Sarah. Like she soloed a 29:48 to get her standard.
Yeah.
And the pacer was gone by 2 miles, and she ran 29:48 by herself. I would like to say that had she competed at Hayward Field, she's probably with those women up there in like the 29 lows. Maybe not getting the world record, but I think she's gonna have. I think she's gonna win.
That's a good take. I like that. You got some good examples there. What would need to happen in this race for our women to medal? Kaladi, Valby, Schweizer.
There's a big pile up at the start. No offense to them, but there's a big pile up at the start. There's just, we talked about this on one of our pods. There's just levels to this.
Right.
Like our girls are happy if they're running low 30. Our women, apologies, but like they're happy with the low 30. These girls are running low 29.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the odds of them medaling are going to have to come down to it gets really hot and they just happen to find themselves there with the lap to go.
Yep.
And then someone like Schweizer, who's closing in a 4 or who's running a 4:04 1500. Like, to put it in perspective, Schweizer is running 4 flat in the 1500. We have Segay in here who's running 350.
She's one of the best 1500 meter runners in the world.
Yeah, like ever.
Yeah.
And these girls running 28:54. What is that? 14:20 something. Our girls ran 14:40 during the season.
Yeah.
And again, those are fantastic times, but they're beating their times twice in a single race.
Yeah. There's so many levels to this, and it just always comes out in the 10K, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I got to be honest, if our girls get top 10, I'll be incredibly proud of them. Like if they go, and that's not even a shot. Like if they go like 7, 8, 9, or a couple of them go like 7, 9, 12, I think that's a great showing for us.
I mean, if you play the odds from any given country that isn't in Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, any other country, if you have 3 athletes, you're going to have one that just doesn't have a good race.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have 1 or 2 that has a good race, right? It's really hard for you to get everyone, so I think you're right. I think if they're all top 10, that would be a good day for them.
Yeah, that'd be amazing if we had 3 in the top 10. Even if we had like 1 in the top 10 and then 2 more in the top 15, like fantastic day for us. Even on the men's side, like if Nico or Woody broke the top 10, amazing day. If both of them break the top 15, another amazing day. Like I think Grant in reality has the best chance to medal there, but like same thing on the women's side. If we have 3 in the top 15, that's an amazing day for us. And especially because we're not setting out Cranny or Monson, who are unanimously our 2 best 10K girls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because Cranny chose to do the 15.
And even if it was Cranny, I would say a beautiful day for Cranny would be like 7th.
Yeah.
Like an A+ day.
She's been up there, hasn't she?
I don't.
At some point, I don't know. I mean, I one of these, I don't know. I didn't because Cranny wasn't in the 10 this year, so I didn't look. I didn't do much research. But I feel like one of these years it was like top 10.
Did Cranny? I know Monson got like 6th or 7th.
Yeah, Monson was up there last year.
Yeah, she was in it with a lap to go, and then made a kind of a premature move early on to try to take the lead with like 600 to go, and I was like, oh no. But okay, let's see. Alicia Monson was 5th. Elise Cranny was 12th. And then our third girl was Natasha Rogers in 14th. And I would consider that like an A+ day for the US.
Yeah, so I knew Cranny was like relevant, you know?
Yeah. Hey, Safan Hassan right here, 11th last year.
You know what's really cool is like Katie Izzo was ranked 14th by her cross country standings going into this.
No way.
Yeah. So she had a high world ranking going into this.
Wow. Good for her.
I mean that's what that means when it says 14th under world ranking, right? That means she's 14th in the world.
I don't know.
I don't know what that means.
So
maybe I don't know.
Oh, so she was qualified. Wow.
Yeah, she's qualified. So if she got top 3, she would have gone.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Go Katie. Shout out Katie Izzo.
Yeah. So that's all the events that we're going to cover. Anything else, Mark?
No, I think that's it, man. I think that was a lot of talking and a robust episode. We went through
it. It was good. I feel like we did a good job there. I feel like we were punctual. We got through it. I really like the goat conversation, which you were talking about. You know, we talk about Mo Farah. I feel like in the fall, like we got to do like a goat or a Mount Rushmore. You know, you're gonna go blast some faces into a mountain. Who's it gonna be?
Dude, let's do it. I'm excited for that. I'm actually kind of excited for some off-season topics because I don't want us to blend in with everyone else in terms of just being like, let's talk about the Olympics like every single time. I know it's the most relevant. That's why we need to. But like, I'm pretty excited to go on those like slightly tangent type of topics. Like,
oh, dude, I wanted to even go extreme tangent, right? Like, you know, Dathan Ritzenheim, Ryan Hall era cross country versus the modern day.
Alan Webb was there too.
Like, Alan Webb was there too, dude. Like, you know, like
just because
because stuff that I was a little bit like I was on the come up. Anyways, I like you talking about the GOAT, you know, the Bekele and the Gebre Selassie and the Hisham El Garouge, and you know that got me thinking about some fun topics for the fall. But excellent episode, my friend. Make sure if you're listening, you like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to episode 15 here. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
See ya.